Ladies and gentlemen, senora and senoras, just now we will continue with the second day of our event, International Maritime Forum Global Compass. I'll give you floor with pleasure to my friend to pronounce welcome address to Rear Admiral Kalin Kalinov, Rector of Navigation of Naval Academy Nicola Vaptsarov.
Dear Vice Admiral, Petef Advisor of the Supreme Commander and Chief of Bulgarian Armed Forces, dear President of the Confederation, Captain Dimitrov, dear Chairman of the Bulgarian Master Association, Captain Stoyanov, dear colleagues, dear friends, it is a big pleasure for us to host the second day of your meeting. Welcome in the Naval Academy. I know that the meeting is annual and it is very important, and I hope that it became a tradition to host one of the days of the meeting here in the Naval Academy and to have the possibility to present the achievements of the Naval Academy. For the Bulgarian part of the audience, the Naval Academy is well known, but for colleagues from abroad who come for first time, may I say a few words to present the Academy. The Academy is established in 1881. It is literally 3 years after the liberation of Bulgaria. In the beginning, it was situated in the city of Ruse because the river was more important for Bulgaria at that times, because it connected Bulgaria with the Central Europe. The things changed, and now here we are in the 13th building, the 13th site of the Naval Academy. For Bulgaria, it is pretty long history, but the Academy was established as the first technical school of Bulgaria. We are very proud that this year the President of Republic of Bulgaria said that the Naval Academy is the most modern educational body these days in Bulgaria. We educate for all maritime professions. We educate the classical personnel like navigators, engineers, including electrical engineers, radio communication, management of passenger shipping, and we educate students in related areas, the management of water transportation and logistics. These days we are very happy to start to educate people in the areas of space engineering and informational technologies. In the Academy, we also educate the personnel of the Bulgarian Navy, but not only for the Navy. We are the Technical University of Bulgarian Forces because the specialists in robotics, in mechatronics, and in cybersecurity for all the armed forces graduate from here in the Academy. We are very proud to educate people in one unusual direction, military doctors, but we do it in cooperation with Medical University and Military Medical Academy. We have a long list of achievements, but we are proud of our friends because these days we have contacts and memorandums of understanding with more than 60, I will say, leading companies in the maritime domain, and we are very proud that our graduates have a realization in these companies. The Naval Academy tries to look ahead because we know that a lot of challenges are in front of us. The first challenge, I want to mention the challenges which are our topics here in the discussions in the Naval Academy. The first challenge is the integration of professions, the rising role of the informational technologies in the maritime professions. It is our first challenge, how to combine education and training, the classical one for seafarers, and these new directions of the profession. The second, the second challenge for the Naval Academy is that the popularity of the seafarers profession in Europe and in Bulgaria these days is going down. And we have to overcome and to think about this, but let me say one more time, we can't do it without inviting all the friends from universities abroad and from companies in the maritime domain. And the third big challenge for the maritime education is the pressure applied by the tendency to decrease the duration of education. It is very popular to receive bachelor degree for 3 years in many countries in Europe, but on the other hand, we have to think about the requirements coming from our Holy Book STCW Convention. And if we want to meet these requirements, we have to make a really big step and to apply a new decision in this area. That's why we are very happy for meeting you here, to have the possibility to listen about different trends in the professions and to have the possibility to discuss all these aspects of the current maritime education and training. Thank you one more time for being with us. Thank you one more time for visiting the Naval Academy, and I wish success to the conference. Thank you.
Thank you. Just now, I will give you the floor to Captain Dimitar Dimitrov, President of TESMA, Confederation of all European Maritime Association.
Thank you, Captain Stoyanov. Dear Admiral Petev, dear Admiral Kalinov, distinguished guests, dear colleagues from abroad and from Bulgaria, dear students, I want to address you because you are our future. And first of all, welcome to everybody. Thanks to the organizers to giving me the floor to say a few words. It's always difficult to speak after a professor, but I will try to be short, not to take your time. On the other side, it's always sentiment to me to speak in that area because roughly after 41 year and 1 day, when I entered this school, I'm still here, still in the profession, and that is our major challenge today. 41 years and 1 day, I entered this school, and I'm happy that my first commander in that school is here as a manager of one of the mining companies in Bulgaria, Captain Todorov. Thank you for having you here. Also, one of my classmates is Admiral Petev. Another one is head of Bulgarian administration. He was yesterday. So I think that our generation made what we can do for the maritime professions in Bulgaria. I'm very proud that when I started working in the maritime business, Bulgaria had a national carrier with 142 ships. Fortunately, today we have less ships, but more or less the same tonnage. So I think that we succeeded in keeping our role in the maritime business all over the world in general. But we have to do a lot to save this position and to continue ahead. In this challenging world, we maritime professionals face a lot of challenges, and that's why in this forum we have to say what we discuss here, and when at the end we have to make a declaration which to be sent to the international institutions, because I see that there is decline in the maritime profession in the developed countries where the ship owners are concentrated, and we are losing experience, we are losing that traditional maritime knowledge, because when we apply for the academy, we were more or less 10 for one position, and now I think that we have 10 positions for one person, maybe. Not exactly, but and that is a challenge. So that means that in our profession nowadays, not the best people are coming, which are in the educational system. So in order to keep our position, we have to do a lot. We have to do a lot to educate these young people. And for that, we need support from the international and national institutions. Maybe most of you know that more or less 10 years ago, an institute of IMO Maritime, Goodwill Maritime Ambassadors had been established at IMO for promotion of the maritime profession. And to our surprise, we are more than 40 IMO Goodwill Maritime Ambassadors. Now the IMO just stopped the scheme and stopped that promotion of the maritime profession. So it's a surprise for us, and I hope that they will find the way to promote to continue promoting maritime industry, because last 10 years it had been done a lot, I think, as much as we can do without any funds. The other challenge nowadays is this introduction of maritime autonomous surface ships, which now we have tests with the real products in the oceans. And you know that it is expected 2028 maritime autonomous surface ship code to be approved and then to be compulsory. Most probably the schedule is for 2031, but we will see. And we have a lot of challenges to the maritime professionals, because now we face a lot of problems sailing either in the oceans or in the ports. Always the mariners are blamed for anything. And what will happen if there is an accident with the mass ship and just normal ship? And they cannot, the local authorities cannot catch the mass ship master because he will be somewhere in the world, but the real master will be there. And then we'll face these problems. We have in the room lawyers, representatives of P&I clubs. So we have to think very carefully, because that is another challenge to the present maritime professionals. They are afraid of being blamed for everything. You know that we have recent cases of criminalization of shipmasters, chief officers. Now we still have in Turkey chief officer in prison without any proof. Even his master and they declare an accident in Colombia, and they had been caught in prison for drug trafficking in Turkey because without any proof. So all this should be prevented in the future, if we want maritime profession to grow up and to save this traditional knowledge. So I don't want to take your time more. Enjoy the nice city of Varna and have fruitful discussions. Good luck to the forum. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain Dimitrov. I will say some few words concerning the mention of problems. I think, in my opinion, and we from Bulgarian Shipmaster Association, we will promote the policy to work at the sea and work at the coast, because I think that the very high educated specialists which became master, for example, it's not problem to work in the distinguished officer from the foreign companies, as I see here, or from the national company, shipping company. And I think that this is opportunity will become greater because uh, the problems with these computers and information system probably will be cut a lot of jobs. And if I have to say my friends or son, for example, I think that the way, not regular way, I think is the best way in these difficult and very changeable times. And here I want to say that around 7,000 officers just now sailed in the ships and command the ships in the different countries and different all around the world. And Bulgarian specialists are very with a very good presentation. And last year, the company Grimaldi said that the top four of the officer preliminary are Bulgarians, and I think that they will continue with Canadian Naval Academy, this, let's say, tradition. Okay, anyway, we have to continue, and I will give a floor to the Andrew Roberts. Andrew Roberts is representative of vetting company Rightship. This company was mentioned at the last day during presentation of company Cargill. The Rightship vetting company is very important for not only for dry cargo but for all marine industry, because she inspect and make a criteria, make an assessment of the ships, of course, of the company. And from this assessment, almost depends the business of the relevant naval companies. For example, it's very, very difficult to achieve 5 stars from Rightship, but some Bulgarian company remain this from 2 years, and I think that our maritime company, it's possible to make this like tradition. Thank you, Andres, to come here, and I give a floor.
Thank you, Stan. Good morning, everyone. On my way to this incredible venue this morning, I walked across 3 roads on my route, and I went up and down 3 sets of stairs. I start with that because everything that we do, whether in our personal or professional lives, involves the management of risk. Okay? And maritime is no different. Whether you're a trader, determining what risks you want to take or hedge with a cargo, whether you're an insurer and you're looking at the risks of underwriting a vessel, or you're a manager looking at whether you're going to bring that vessel into your operations, or you're on the front line and you're a seafarer managing those dynamic risks. Everything we do is around risk management. Today, I'm going to talk to you around strengthening safety through reducing complexity and enhancing risk management. Okay, I'm Andrew Roberts. I'm the Executive Director for Rightship across our Americas and EMEA regions. So I'm going to start this morning with a macro risk snapshot. Effectively, this is what is affecting the overall maritime landscape as we see it. I'm not going to focus too much on each of the subpoints, but I want to draw your attention to some of the headline points, a lot of which were actually discussed yesterday already. So certainly the market and economic volatility, much of that is impacted very much from geopolitical and systemic risks that are out there, the uncertainty, the change in regulations that we're all facing as we go through the change in decarbonisation landscape. From a fleet perspective, there is increasing age of vessels. I think the United Nations Convention on Trade and Development have the average age of vessels now at about 23 years. And a lot of that is driven because there's a large number of owners and managers who are holding on to their assets because they don't know what to order because of the change in environmental regulations. They don't necessarily spend the money, the time, the effort to keep those assets maintained. They're looking for a potential divestment opportunity in that. So we see operational standards reduce. And there is a clear operational bifurcation of the market. And then we look at human capital and welfare. We heard yesterday a number of examples of how crew really get the short straw. They're being locked there. We had just this morning they're incarcerated. So trying to get crew on board ships, trying to train them up is becoming increasingly more difficult. So I see a number of cadets here today, and it's fantastic to see that. Overall, though, if you look across the broader supply chain, people are looking for greater resilience, greater optimization, and greater reliability. And this leads us into the industry's new reality. There are a wide range of different stakeholder requirements. People are looking for transparency across what's happening. Those economic pressures and legal constraints are also driving companies to have to make decisions with less information or less time to make decisions. Overall, supply chains are being pushed now to do more and deliver faster, but with less. So if we take a step back and we look at the overall system that is affecting the maritime risk landscape, this is a snapshot on the right of some of the potential counterparts that will be involved in any freight fixture that we go through. On the left-hand side, though, I draw your attention to the pain points that exist. Time sensitivity, information asymmetry, all of these things are critical factors that affect the risks that people are facing. And I want to just pause and give you an example. Where is Captain Peter from IHB? Captain Peter. With Captain Peter's permission, I share what Captain Peter is facing. As a ship manager, ship owner with 4 ships, he's expected to operate those ships to the same standard as someone that could be operating 100, 200. Yet Captain Peter is acting as the managing or deputy managing director, the DPA, the deputy CSO, the marine superintendent for one company. So there is a huge amount of asymmetry, both in the access to resources and how we're able to operate these ships. And the reality is that all of these pressures all of these circumstances put pressure on what is already a very, very fragile system. When we look at that in terms of output, then we start to get the real picture. Last year alone, there was over 12,500 days lost out of the system from vessels detained. And yesterday we heard about vessels being detained in Indonesia. We're not talking about that type of detention. We're talking about a vessel alongside that port state control authorities have come on board and detained that vessel. 12,500 days. In reality, if you step back and look at the trends that we're seeing an increase in PSC inspections and deficiencies, an increase in detentions. Crew abandonment is the highest it's ever been. A lot of information suggested as we come out of COVID, crew abandonments were high because of the inability to get crews on and off. But 3 years on from COVID, the numbers last year for crew abandonments were more than the preceding 2 years combined. So there was a lot of symptomatic impacts from those pressures that are coming onto the system. So the ability to manage risks then starts with the ability to understand and know what those risks are, whatever way or whatever line of operation you're in or business. So I want you to all have a quick look at this. And the question I've got for you is just looking at those 5 ships on the left-hand side, or the data that we have here, just hold in your mind, what ship do you think, just on that data alone, presents you with the highest risk? Okay, so I'm going to ask for a show of hands. Put your hands up if you think it's vessel A. Vessel B? Okay. Vessel C? Okay. Vessel D? Thank you. And vessel E. Okay, so thank you for your participation though. Actually, when we start to get below the surface, we can expose some information. So vessel B naturally draws your eye in terms of risk. Why? Because most people will look at that and think, I've got a 25-year-old ship. That presents the biggest risk to my business. And that's not the case. In fact, the data that we see suggests that, quite often, age doesn't have an influence on the operation or the safety of a vessel. We have to get below the surface to really understand what is going on, to understand the risks that we see. So what does real risk look like? Here's a snapshot of some of the things that we see when we get on board vessels. Now, I can't sit here or stand here and tell you that that is what we see all the time. Absolutely not. We see some really, really great examples of how people are managing their vessels and their risks. But we also see this as well. And, I want to just draw your attention to the top left there of a guy getting off an accommodation ladder onto a pilot ladder. Last year, in the inspections that we'd done on vessels, we had 21,000 findings that related to people. So behind all of these risks or behind all of these things are real risks and real people. People who potentially lose their lives. Between 2020 and 2024, the data that we have showed 285 fatalities across this. So you think about this, whether it's a family member, it's a member of your company, they should be able to go to sea and come back safely. Yet 285 people lost their lives in that amount of time. So these risks are real. Okay, so I think yesterday and the theme of the conference being towards innovation, I just want to take some time at the back part of my talk here to highlight to you what we're doing at RightShip to try and simplify some of this risk into an ability for people to use that data to make better data-driven decisions, and how we're using innovation to help do that. So if we go back 2001, overall, we were very much in a position of human-led. We were doing everything as people. That moved on into 2016, and then we were seeing a difference where we were still leading, humans were still very much at the center of what we were doing. However, better systems, better data processing was allowing us to have a machine-assisted evaluation of data. Now we see that shifting further. So now we're moving into a machine-led and human-assisted environment. Yesterday we heard about cyber risks. These risks are real. They face, that potentially face all of us, and they aren't going away. Digitization is a real challenge that the industry is facing or grappling with. But we are moving into an area of machine-led and human-assisted risk management. We will still require the human as a domain expert to interpret and make decisions based on the data. But the ability to get through that data much quicker and make decisions off that is certainly where we're seeing things move. So I'm just going to give you a flavor of a couple of ways that we are actually drawing data through our system. We have over 280,000 vessels on our platform. So it's a very strong database of information. The example I've got here, which we call the due diligence hub, is used by charterers, insurers, financiers, ports and terminals to actually evaluate vessels prior to chartering, accepting into ports or attaching insurance cover. It integrates into workflows. One of the challenges that we see now is a lot of organizations, a lot of people are using multiple systems. So the ability to integrate through systems or ERPs to drive these workflows is very much what we've tried to capture here. It's about driving efficiency and risk management by being able to get through that data very, very quick. And if you look to the bottom right-hand side there, I speak about AI-powered automation. So I want to just show you the type of stuff that we're doing. So here we go. This is a presentation of the system, the due diligence hub we're going to run. Here, I'll just see if my videos start to work. Here we go. So now we're reviewing a class survey status. It's a critical document, and it contains a lot of information about the ship. Quite often, this would need to be studied or reviewed, and you can see the extent of the information that we have within the class survey status here. We're looking for expired items, for class memos, for conditions of class, etc. So, we get these through in terms of our process. Now what's happening, we're going to run an evaluation on this ship. Okay, we're just going to submit that through. And straight away, you can see on the left-hand side, the system has processed almost instantaneously around 40 different rules. And one of those rules is the class status of the vessel. So we have an AI agent now running in the back of this that is going to read that document automatically. So here we go. The video that we're attaching the document in here, in reality, it can be attached up front, and we've submitted that into the system. The AI now is actually running a test on this. It's going to also read that document and draw out any of the key information that we would want to see before we would then guide people on the potential risks that they're facing. Okay, and you can see here, the system has read the document and it's identified that there's a condition of class in the system very quick. In reality, we've put an AI summary at the top there that has also looked at some key information. It's drawn that off the database, so it places that information very quickly into the hands of the person that's evaluating that vessel. So I'm not going to show more than that, but it's an evolution of data processing to help surface risk very quickly to allow people to go back to what I was saying, do more with less. The last thing that I just want to talk to you is how we're then using intelligence to help owners and managers to move forward as well. So fleet focus is something that we have. I know there's a number of owners and managers here that have access into our data. Fleet focus is a new development for us, which is an intelligence-based system. It allows better benchmarking between operators. It'll help you be able to connect the dots across different areas of risk management, whether that's incidents or port state control performance within your fleet. So it is a shift away from just being able to look at a vessel in isolation and to look at it in aggregation. And one of the elements that we have attached to Fleet Focus is what we call Port State Control Risk IQ that I'll talk about in a moment. But effectively, with Fleet Focus, we're giving companies the tools to be able to benchmark their performance, not only within their own fleet or fleets, but against others in the market as well, through real-time and historical intelligence and through early warning signals as well. I mentioned there something called PSC Risk IQ. So again, how do you surface data out? So you go back to the 12,500 days of detentions. We put a value against that of 188 million, just using an average freight rate of $15,000 a day. There's value leakage out of the system. How do you prepare your ships to go into port? Because a detention is not just a headache for an owner or manager, it is potentially a supply chain disruption. And if you think about products that could be being relied on for downstream production, then any delay can actually have a knock-on effect elsewhere. So Port State Control Risk IQ effectively aggregates more than 10 years worth of port state control data from around the world. It looks at the current concentrated inspection campaigns and other PSC initiatives that are operating around the world. And it helps the owners and managers to actually better prepare for inspections by saying, look, your vessel is this age, this class, this flag. It is part of this type of fleet composition. This is the likelihood that you're going to be inspected. These are the things that are detaining vessels in this particular port. And this is what you should look at. So, in reality, it's a predictive risk assessment tool. It can actually generate checklists out that can be sent then onto ships. They can be tailored to just look at things like code 17 or code 30 detention items. But the idea is surfacing data. That data can then be transferred to the vessels to allow them to be better prepared to ensure that we reduce that value leakage. Okay, so in summary, I'd like to finish just with 3 takeaways. Shipping is a risky business. It's the same as everything else. The risks in shipping are potentially intensifying. However, if risks can be reasonably foreseen, they can be proactively managed to mitigate potential supply chain disruption. And the advent of integratable and innovative technology and structured data can help to optimize and improve process, deliver efficiencies, and reduce that leakage from the value chain. Thank you very much. I'm happy to take any questions.
How do you accept your company as some assistance to the managers? And what is the perception of the managers about the company and the crew? Because usually when the crew see one more inspection on board, because your servants, they make inspection on board, it's another administrative burden to the crews and another paperwork for them. And the main purpose of your company is to assist the crew and the companies. How is your perception about it? How the others?
Sure.
Thank you.
I think I just want to tip my cap to you, sir, because I'm sure your question is one that many others in the room have. Our top line for us is saving lives. Our mission as an organization is zero harm in the maritime industry. And, when we reflect back on the impact on people, ultimately what we're here to do, our modus operandi, raison d'etre, whatever way you want to look at it, is to save life at sea. How do we do that? We do that by identifying and helping to manage risk. So, we don't turn just to the owners and managers. We're here to support the charterers, the ports and terminals, etc. Because some of those fatalities that I quoted are not seafarers, they're stevedores. So we have to look at the system as a whole. And you're right, if we come on board and see, or if we come on board as an inspection company, it is quite often seen as an inconvenience. I challenge anyone to reframe that as an opportunity. And, myself as a master mariner and, having worked in the oil and gas sector for over 10 years, you have a system like SIRE where ships are inspected from cradle to grave. But that inspections regime, it's not class, it's not flag, because even PSC, there is a lot of inconsistency in the system. There's no standardization. So we try to come at our inspections from a very standardized perspective with the aim of helping to improve. So if there's a reframing of that, not as a challenge, but an opportunity to potentially save life or reduce detentions, then that is a better way of looking at it. But with that comes the the other challenges that you get from, for having someone come on board and look at those things. But I think the other thing is with the inspections is, even the discussion I had with Captain Peter this morning, we were talking about how do you best manage that? Because, there's a lot of bias in us as human beings. We live in that environment. We see things every day. We walk past things, but we don't act. So sometimes having someone else come on board the ship with a fresh set of eyes could result in a life saved. So.
Vice Admiral Nate Kopetev. First of all, thank you very much for the very, very robust and good presentation. It is really something what is quite interesting for me because I saw that you have a very found ground building, a way to assess the resilience of any functionality of any systems. And I see this kind of approach also applicable to the national security, for example. The Navy, it's interesting. My question goes in this direction about the security assessment, the capability the ships to protect itself. Obviously, unlike other armed forces, the navies, comparing to our brothers and sisters in arm, we have a different aim, and the biggest maritime strategy objective is to protect the freedom of navigation. So the trade is our main goal, and only if somebody opposes to us this kind of objective, then we go to war. Otherwise, for us is to protect. At the same time, I think being part of this big community, also the merchant fleets supposed to have also enough measures for self-protection. Of course, the PSC standards give a very good ground about this, but currently we have another type of challenges. For example, the pirating, the necessity to travel through the A to AD zones, like for example in the Red Sea, under the escort of the Navy. Do you assess also possibility the ship to be plugged in this kind of protection measures? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Admiral, for the question. The short answer is we don't look into that level of operational assessment of the vessel. We have some clients that we work with who will ask us, my vessel is going from here to here. Is it going to navigate any high-risk areas? And we can look at the passage plans, etc., as part of a vetting process that we do and give feedback. But we don't get to that point. But I think it's a really crucial point because from a risk perspective, the risk has changed. When I was still at sea, piracy was very much the issue. And I remember standing on the bridge and hearing a ship 20 miles behind me boarded by pirates. And it's one of the most eerie things I've ever listened to. The reality of the situation now is that the risk has changed. And seafarers, whether it's in clandestine underwater attacks or it's drones now, even the presence of armed guards on board are not going to safeguard the vessel from that, which is obviously ultimately why a lot of ships are rerouting. But I think mentally, and we need to think about, again, from a systems perspective, why do we see those incidents? Well, if people are going to a port and they can't get shore leave, or people are on board and they're not getting paid, or they're not having any access to the family, or they're operating through areas where they're susceptible to potential attacks, these things have an impact on the mental well-being of the seafarers. And unfortunately, that manifests in potential incidents. People are thinking about other things and not focused on the risks at hand. So, to come back to your question, we don't get into that level of risk, but we do look at things more holistically. Thank you very much.
Good morning, dear guests. I'm very proud to be moderator of these sections. First speaker will be Victor Dukov. He is a maritime professional with more than 15 years experience, PhD candidate in merchant shipping. His system is very innovative. Go ahead, Vic.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to express my gratitude to all the organizers and all the guests, especially those traveling from abroad. So, my name is Victor, and I've been working in ship management for over 15 years. And today, I would say I'm biased. And what that would mean, crew managers today, I believe, and the ship managers are under huge pressure and tension from several directions. First, we have net zero coming over. Then we have charters continuously raising the bars. Then we have RightShip, we have OSIM, and of course, we have all the geopolitical stories going on around that directly affects how ship management run their day-to-day operations. So, just a second. Okay. Saying all that, we expect a huge shortage globally for crew. I believe everyone knows that. And what's left for the ship managers today to comply with all the pressure they have is only to achieve a maximum optimization on their operations. And this means that after reaching the highest level of safety and managing to maintain that, is all about the technology that can be applied in different verticals. Whether this is going to be a solution to help out with technical, operations, safety, commercial, or crew management. So after many years, I was wondering how such simple process on paper, have a crew that should go on board, work for a defined period, and get back, can be actually so complex as a process and the execution. So this is how actually the idea of creating CI came. The direction is clear and it's crew management done right. So what is our mission? Is to help the ship management to work as smooth as possible and to take the best decision, whether it's starting from planning through compliance, crew logistics, and all the supportive steps on the process. So by positioning ourselves in the middle of the ecosystem and make sure that all the stakeholders work together and they can achieve maximum automation. So our product is all about helping the ship owner to reach maximum compliance, full process automation, and work efficient based on all the data that is available in order to take the right decisions. Because each step from planning to executions is all about taking decisions based on data. So if anyone wants to find out what's our secret sauce behind it, how you can really automate your crew management process and save up to 25% of the cost on it, I'll be around and I'll be happy to have a chat with you after the session. Thank you very much. That's it.
Thank you, Victor. And now we'll welcome on stage Georgi Lolov to present his startup.
Hello, everyone. My name is Georgi Wolf, and I'm senior lieutenant, and I serve on board of frigate Verni Burgas. And today I'll show you my project to Metaverse. The idea of this project is to make virtual education more easier and more innovative for our students and cadets. Next slide. So the content of my project, I'll introduce my idea, theoretical foundation of my simulator and how I made it in Unreal Engine, methodology, data collection and analysis, building the simulator, technical implementation, simulator tests and evolution. And in the end of my presentation, I'll check my research and conclusion of this simulator. What is Metaverse? Metaverse is the place where our cadets and students, professor can communicate each other to make lesson more fun, more easier to understandable. And if we see this education as a new possibility after the COVID period, it will make this education more easier for our new generation students. Goals and objectives. First, I search about analyze the problem in distance learning. As you know, after the COVID period, we saw a lot of problems with distraction of our students and cadets in virtual learning. So the idea is to make this simulator more easier to understandable for our youngest student and to add some gamification mode so our student to don't have this distraction in their practical and theoretical lessons in university. Study of technological aspects of the metaverse and their application, development on the conceptual model of the university environment simulator. I made Naval Academy as a 3D model in my simulator and technical implementation and test of the prototype and performance. So what we applied as the theoretical foundation, the application of the metaverse in education, as you heard in my previous slide, technological aspects, we add virtual reality assets like Google's and webcam that can track our physical movement of our real body, and this physical movement to implement it in our avatar in our simulator. And virtual classroom, they could be like practical classrooms in ships, virtual machines, and we could apply crew 100% by artificial intelligence data. The simulator was made 100% in Unreal Engine 5 to create more realistic view and more good graphics. After I made this 3D model of Naval Academy, I put it on Reality Capture, this software for 3D photogrammetry, to make this 3D model more realistic. And the last Oculus Rift and Microsoft Hole is for integration for VR and AR technology in my simulator. So I made a 3 scenario what could possibly we can make in our simulator. The first one, students and cadets will be required to work in our Naval Meta Academy platform. They will be able to visit classrooms and university facility. Meta-humans with artificial intelligence will provide learner with the opportunity to communicate with different characters. We can add navigators with artificial intelligence database and mechanics and the other specialty. And to have connection of the avatar with the user body movement in order to emotionally impact the system. The scenario 2, the meta platform will be aimed to build simulation to allow students and cadets to practice given cases in a digital environment resembling a university. For navigators, it's really important because they can learn leadership with that kind of simulate simulations with artificial intelligence crew member because for one navigator, it's really important to fail in his journey with the ship and the maneuvering. And when he graduated, to have this background of this failure and to don't make these mistakes in his career. Scenario three is with artificial intelligence, meta-humans. In this scenario of action and construction of the simulator, artificial intelligence and the improvement of the individual skills of each cadet or student stand on a pedestal. The idea is to make one meta-human his friend, his teacher, and his listeners, just in case this student or cadet to update his knowledge in university and to make a good score in his last period in the university. Existing problems in teaching communication during the distance learning. Traditional teaching method often fails to capture student attention and to stimulate their active participation. The lack of the interactivity and engagement can lead to a reduced motivation and lower performance. Advantage of using the metaverse in education. The metaverse provides a platform where students can learn through hands-on application and interaction with the learning material. Може само да пуснете клипчето. Can you turn on the clip? The addition of body motion recognition software and infrared ID camera will add a new perspective to the virtual space in real time. Everyone will be able to show emotions that are sensory related to the body of the real avatar outside the simulator. Designing a university environment simulator, it's using in Unreal Engine 5. The simulator will be designed to offer a variety of virtual classrooms, laboratories, and social space based on the real buildings of Naval Academy Nicola Vaptsarov. 3D models created through the 3D photogrammetry will be used to ensure maximum realism in our software. And for this purpose, drone photos are taken and processed to create a generalized 3D picture of the university, which the subsequently processed in a reality capture software. And after a long overlay, the final 3D object is obtained, which is inserted in our Unreal Engine simulator. 3D photogrammetry for creating buildings. In a new era of technology, one of the most common techniques for digitalizing people and objects in a 3D space and more precisely in the meta universe is 3D photogrammetry. It combines art, science, and the photo technology to obtain reliable information about physical objects and the environment through the process of 3D photogrammetry. In the nutshell, photogrammetry is processed and converts a 2D image into 3D model. This is one of the objects that I made from Naval Academy to 3D objects. Artificial intelligence integration for interactive avatars. The avatars in the simulator will be powered by artificial intelligence, allowing them to have conversation and interaction with the user in a natural way. They will be able to provide responses that are indistinguishable for those of real people thanks to advanced AI algorithm. The integration of the AI into interactive avatars plays a key role in creating a dynamic and engaging metaverse. On the first picture, you can see Cadet Maria. She's a cadet with specialty cybersecurity. She can answer your question about the specialty. her background. She's from Burgas. She like to play tennis and etc. And on the next picture, this is student Georgi with artificial intelligence. He's navigator. He's second years in Naval Academy. And yeah, integration goes. I'll show you this practical view of my AI. We don't have speakers, sorry about that. But yeah, I asked him something about academy, something about his background, and he answered me in individual mode. So evaluation of the efficiency of AI avatars. To access the effectiveness of integration, my AI avatars, various methods are used to collect feedback from users. The research was made by 10 students and 20 cadets in Naval Academy. The goals are clear in this result graphic. They really liked the method of the simulator because of this gamification mode. They can participate in classrooms. They can make missions in the university, so their score will be granted to the maximum score, and they really like the simulator. And technical implementation, the simulator architecture will be include various models for managing the virtual environment, interaction with the users, and the processing data. The main component will include a server infrastructure for managing session and interaction, as well as client application for user. And this will be the main menu of my simulator. Performance evaluation, main criteria was learner engagement, learning outcomes, user experience, and technical stability. And as I said on the previous slides, user feedback was on a really high score for me. And conclusion, the simulator performed in the metaverse offers an excellent foundation for innovative and effective learning, providing a virtual environment that supports understanding of the learning material, developers' practice skills, and facilitating interaction between learners and instructor. The other stage of this simulator will be to create 100% autonomous ship simulator with a crew member of artificial intelligence. The idea is to train our navigators and other cadets and students into leadership of these autonomous ships simulators. We don't have time for practical demonstration, but in a second forum, I'll be glad to show you my simulator. Thank you for your attention. I'm ready for your question.
Okay, first of all, Lieutenant, thank you very much for the very good presentation, especially about the achievement in this AI educational platform. I would like to make 2 points and 1 question to have. First of all, obviously, the gamification is something what should be in the center of the future education. This is something what we do underestimate, and I think that the new generation is really something what can be affected very much by gamification. I will give you the example, for example, about the using of the games. According to the International Internet Counter-Terrorist Forum, the games are used extremely effective for radicalization of the people. So a lot of terrorists has been born thanks to the gamification, and they have a very deep research on this platform. You can find it on internet if you're interested, and this has been reported during the common event which has been organized by the King of Jordan and the President of Republic Bulgaria in April. So in this case, why we do not recognize the gamification as educational tool? Of course, it's natural. So congratulations about highlighting this point. The second thing, one of the most important parts being innovative and also to keep the to be a little bit more proactive is really not too afraid from failures, and this is something what you really put on the top. The most important, the other thing is to make a real things what you can felt and what we cannot felt, and this is something to be developed. My question is, among all other good applications, obviously the distant learning capability of the metaverse is the one which will increase effectiveness tremendously. How strong and how high are the demands and the requirements towards the connectivity in order to implement as a distant learning? For example, the internet requirements, which has been demanded by the prototype. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Admiral, for this really good question. The idea is to this simulator to be more easier for users to use it online. The minimum requirement will be one webcam and let's say minimum requirement for some laptop or personal computer. So the idea of the web camera will be to analyze and track your body motion and your physical movement to be replaced in this simulator, and to make virtual reality one stage more realistic in a real world. Thanks so much.
Next speaker will be Georgi Parvanov.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, so I'm proud to be here and to present my presentation. Presentation is directed to the education in ship simulators. It's prepared by me and Dian Velkov. First, cargo and ballast simulator in development. Cargo and ballast simulator is designed to reproduce loading, unloading, and ballast operation with a strong focus on the dynamic stability and safety awarenesses. Unlike conventional loading computers, the simulator emphasizes the physical phenomena that often remain hidden. Statical stability analysis, metacentric height, GZ curve, trim and list, free surface effect visualization, how partially filled tank reduced stability, shifted cargo simulation, healing surface and moment from bulk cargo movement, dynamic ship response under irregular wave excitation depending on loading condition, strength analysis of bending moment, shear forces, deflection and local shear, ballast transfer operation highlighting consequences from trim and stability, custom feature and different alarms. The educational benefit of from simulator is enable cadet and professionals to understand and experience the risk of poor cargo handling and ballast management with real-time simulation of processes and systems involved in cargo operation, providing realistic training scenarios. Fault and emergency scenarios allows trainees and practice handling routine operation and respond to emergency with potentially catastrophic consequences. Independent of loading computer, it built intuition about why stability fail, not only what the computer say. The knowledge can directly prevent accidents linked to free surface effect and cargo hold movement. Number 2 is generated hull model of the ship, or the next stage of the project. Once hydrostatic curve and theoretical drawing are available, we can construct the AI-generated 3D hull model, which present the vessel in a digital twin independent of the ship loading computer. Allows direct calculation and submerged volume under trim list hogging or sagging. Use discretization method to provide high fidelity hydrostatic displacement, longitudinal center of buoyancy, longitudinal center of rotation, metacentric height, free surface moment, grain healing moment, longitudinal center of gravity, transverse and center. All hydrostatic elements. Forms and backbone of real-time integration with sensor data. On this picture, we can see the difference between the model in the left and on the right side, the ship which the operator of the simulator can use. Of course, is connected with the hydrostatic table with all elements. Displacement, volume of the ship, and what I say on the previous slide. The hydrostatic data is connected with minimum requirements as per international regulation for stability of the ship, and the curve for the righting arm, the sector between 0 to 40 degrees, 30 to 40, and all international requirements. This is the one picture of the ship on board. The cargo hold is empty. This is from starboard side, also a picture of the ship. And this is central line from the bow. It's generated for simulation, and the main idea of simulator is to increase the safety and to prevent the risk, to minimize the risk. Draft and seawater properties, core measurement technology, research and development. A new multi-sensor system is under development to precise measure draft by replacing manual draft mark reading with automated level sensors, optical references, and inertial correction. Trim and heal via microelectronic mechanical system, or MEMS, inclinometers and accelerometers. Salinity and water density using inline conductivity, temperature, depth, or densimeters for exact buoyancy correction. The system aims to deliver objective, repeatable measurement, enabling continuous draft control with ever-decreasing error margins. Dynamic roll period and stability in monitoring. By combining precise draft changes from a sensor system and inertial motion data from Motion Reference Unit, MRU, and Inertial Measurement Unit, IMU, we can dynamically determine the ship's roll period in real time. This unlocks parametric roll detection, head to following C 2-to-1 resonance, resonant roll detection, BMC, or 1-to-1 resonance, and early warning sign of decreasing stability, which is very important for the bridge command and navigators. For example, due to free surface effect, cargo liquefaction, or improper securing. On this picture is a visualization of ship with in movement, in dynamic, in different position with the list to starboard side, which very clear can show to the trainees how the cargo and cargo movement and the distribution of cargo in the different cargo holds can affect the ship in different weather state and different condition, different movement, different speed and course. This is the underwater part of the ship, which also is very important. It's part of the simulator and the final data to calculate the volume of waters displaced. Final objective of simulator and the project is stability and cargo intelligence tool. The ultimate goal is a bridge deployed advisory system that provides exact cargo weight on board in real time. A live figure on the bridge continuously updated. Early prediction of stability reduction, proactive alarms when metacentric height is trending down or free surface effect is increasing. Prediction of resonance risk based
on a current loading, plus forecast sea state. Decision support advisor suggests course and speed adjustment. For example, alter course by 15 degrees to starboard or reduce speed by 2 knots to mitigate the roll risk. One more diagram of the ship and the parameters. It's not so visible, but vision and impacts. The system represent a paradigm shift from a static loading computers is changed to dynamic AI-driven stability monitoring from after the fact incident analysis to real-time prevention. In real time, we can observe the ship and the changes of cargo from dependence on human judgment alone to objective sensor-based decision support. By integrating cargo simulation, hull modeling, precision draft measurement, and dynamic stability intelligence, we aim to reduce accident caused by improper loading and hidden stability losses. Eliminate cargo shortage claim by providing precise automated draft surveys. Empower officers and pilots with real-time prediction tool for safe navigation and cargo operation. This is one picture from inside, from the bridge. And also is very important because some of the cargo simulator is, some of the cargo panels is on the bridge. And it's possible during the loading process to observe the different cargo holds and to observe the changes in list, heel, and different states of the ship, and to prevent it also before. Of course, here I will pass a little bit fast because the time is not so much. The simulator is cover international regulation of SOAS, grain code, intact stability code, MARPOL, IMSBC code, ISM code, cargo storage and securing code, blue code, and of course standard training certification and watchkeeping, and IMDG code for dangerous good, of course. Final object, the system integrates accurate determination of cargo weight at any given moment, early prediction of stability changes, metacentric height, writing lever, free surface effect, and liquefaction. Forecasting of resonant and parametric rolling, including recommendation for course and speed adjustment, prevention of excessive shear forces and bending moments through dynamic monitoring. Thank you for attention. I'm open for your question.
Thank you for the presentation. I have a business question,
I'm listening.
if you don't mind. So, do you look for money for this? Is it one product or it's a system?
It's a long way, and now it's in the beginning. But of course,
You have hardware and the simulation, right? You have the hardware. and the software.
first of all, I want to say that this project is directed for education. So the main idea is education, but the way is so much, and I'm open for.
I'm sure that every ship owner and every charter or a trader of cargo will be interested of such product.
Of course, this is the reason I push my efforts and.
Very interesting.
But I'm a lecturer
Yeah.
for first and.
Yeah, that's fine. That's very interesting. I
Mhm.
like it.
Thank you for a question. Question?
Cargo and loading programs supposed to be class approved. Do you have any idea? Do you have any other working models on the market?
Yes, I know the requirements and I read the requirements of IMO, but for the moment it's still in progress, and in future for sure they will cover the requirements.
You assume that for sure they will cover that requirement.
This
thanks.
project is
Okay, thanks.
with this idea, yeah, of course.
Okay, thanks.
One more question.
Thank you, Mr. Parvanov. My question is simple, because we're talking about the safety.
Of course.
If the simulator is able to give you advice basic on artificial brain, what will be happen if you have collision on one side and part of your loading ship is flooded? Because you know the situation is not same. You're supposed to have some decision C. Yes, damageability and some worst scenarios. Because they are, if I'm thinking they are 25 or 26, depends on the type of the ship. Thank you.
Thank you for a question. First of all, the simulator is advisory function for the bridge officers and navigators, and educational purposes. So the final decision is master decision and officer on the watch. So this is clear. Mainly, yes, this is the first idea.
How the students, if they in this scenario, will to do if they are taught by this educational tool and not shown how to do simple stability GM calculations on paper? I mean, I think we should start first with teaching the students how to do things on paper.
Of course.
And after that, simulation.
The discipline that I work with the students is exactly cargo handling and stowage. And first of all, in the program is first step is by normal way. But finally, this is the next step. This is the next stage, number 2. Thank you, and you're correct.
We have to finish with the questions on the networking meeting. You can continue with questions to Mr. Parvan. So next speaker is Captain Zdravko Atanasov.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Zdravko Atanasov. Meanwhile, I need to be really faster because we are running out of time. I'm a master mariner, currently acting as a master of the merchant vessel. And now I'm a student in the master degree simulation engineering in Naval Academy. And This is what I'm going to present you. My startup is inspired and prepared during that master education. I forget also to mention that I'm also a member of a Bulgarian Shipmasters Association as organizers. I also want to say to you thank you for your presence and for your coming for this forum event this year. So about the startup, the one of the part of the startup is really big topic is about the navigation and the position determining during missing or lost signal of the GPS and another sources of navigation. And it's combining old celestial navigation methods for determining the position and combining the modern technology for astronavigation and modern technology for the AI and another technology for determining the ship's position. As you already mentioned, and also yesterday you heard during the presentation of another speakers, nowadays using the GPS, it's a big topic. And this startup which I'm presenting you, it's showing and the idea is to determine in the modern way the position via AI. Now here you can see one picture from an astronavigation simulator, which is also part of this IntelliCelestial startup. This sextant, as we are calling, as the name is this sextant, it's the idea is to use for the training and education in the classical celestial navigation. The another picture, second one, is the picture from the digital planetarium, which is showing realistic night sky simulation for diverse application. And the third one is the star and satellite recognition using AI-powered positioning independent of the GNSS global navigation satellite system. Here behind the text, you can see a picture from the astro navigation simulator. This is the picture from the simulator, and it's showing how it looks like the vision from the this sextant which you saw on the previous presentation, previous slide. So this is the part of the astronavigation simulation. Here it can be used for a calculation of the altitude and azimuth and also determining the position by the line of positioning. This is the picture from the digital planetarium. You can see behind the video how we succeed also to load more than 100,000 of stars. These lines which you see are line of the position, and also you can see here some of the important stars which can be used for training and education exactly for the digital planetarium. For the night mode of the IntelliCelestial recognition, we need to use the old method for determining the position by the stars, but the idea is to use the camera to detect the stars and to recognize the patterns, to calculate the azimuths and altitudes, and to determine and calculate by itself the line of positions, which are used to fix the position of the for the ship, let's say. And for the day mode, we are planning to use the satellite tracking but to determine their position via radio frequency, angle of arrival, and Doppler measurement. Also to track the visible satellites as a Starlink, GPS, and Galileo, and to fix the position even without stars during the date mode. Of course, the idea is also to combine both systems day and night and satellite tracking with date reckoning and with inserting additional filters. The idea is to reach accuracy about 15 meters, but with adding all the filters. For now, currently, also you're gonna see here how we managed to do it. On the first picture, you can see the real picture of the stars. Of course, we had the names of the stars and planets for easy reference. The second picture, you can see AI detection. It's model made to recognize from the real picture the planets and the stars. And on the third one, you can see all this line of positions. Here, next picture, you can see 200 line of position used to calculate the position, and via the AI we succeed to determine position about 180 meters difference between GPS and this AI model without any adding of the filters. As I already mentioned, it can be used for education, for the backup system in case of some problem with the GPS, or just for a second method of navigation. And actually I need to finish, so that was part of Intel Celestial simulation and startup model. For questions we can discuss during the break because we are running out of the time. So thank you for now.
I'm very proud to present two students from Math Gymnasium in Varna with very interesting projects. I think we'll enjoy this.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thanks to the organizers for inviting us here today to present our project. And we'll be short because I know everyone wants to drink some coffee and take a break. So, I think everyone knows that vegetables don't last long at sea. And this becomes a big problem, especially when fresh shipments are weeks or even sometimes months away. People who depend on frozen goods and don't have a very varied diet eat about 50% less vitamins than the normal person. And this leads to worse health, less energy, and overall worse performance on the ship. So this is the exact problem we wanted to solve. And after 2 years of research and hard work, we made Coren.
Coren brings you a solution that allows you to grow fresh herbs and vegetables no matter of your location. You can grow them with no effort, even if you don't have garden, and we do not compromise the quality. So, there is no matter of the location because our product has full climate control. We control the temperature, we regulate the humidity and watering, we also manage the lighting, and our system works with swappable pots. That means that after every harvest you have to change your pots. Also, you don't have to be included in the process because Coren is fully self-sustainable. And it's also smart and easy to use because your only job is to plug it in, put the pots in their pockets, and trust the process.
Okay, so by now you might be asking yourself, why does this all matter? Firstly, it's your crew. A healthy crew is equal to better performance. When someone has a healthy, varied diet, their energy goes up, their performance goes up, and their mood too goes up. Your company as well. This product puts in the bracket of green, innovative companies who think about their passengers and people on board. And thirdly, you just save money. You don't need to bother so much with complicated logistics and expensive deliveries. And I feel confident saying all this because I spent 2 months on a ship just now this summer, and I came back last week. So, but why would you choose Koren? Koren was made with the rough conditions on a ship in mind. It can withstand the constant vibrations, the movement, and yeah, it just can withstand those rough conditions. Its premium build can blend in with any vessel because of its modern build. And the ease of use, you just need to put the pod inside and then reap the rewards.
As regards our offer, Koren goes for $499, and that comes with our plant pots. And for now, you're free to choose from 12 varieties of plant pots. We have them listed on our website, and you can look to them whenever you feel comfortable with it.
And this is our team. I'm Radoslav Dechev, lead of marketing. This is Maxim Shalaverov next to me. He's the CEO. Daniel and Nicola are over there looking at the presentation. Daniel is the head of engineering and technology, and Nicola is the finance manager. This is our contact information. If anyone wants to contact us, we're available to talk. And thank you very much for your attention.
I can announce break. If you have questions, you can find them on the network.
Besides from the information concerning the third panel, I have to introduce two items. First, we have a guest, one of our famous painting. You see the paintings here nearby the catering table. The name of the artist is Elisaveta Stoyanova. She finished academy in our ancient capital, Veliko Tarnovo, and after that studied in Perugia, Italy. And she is our cooperation with our association, Bulgarian Maritime Association. And second, on demand of our partners, Bloomberg Nautical Institute and Bulgarian National TV and Bulgarian National Radio, Maritime BG, Global Maritime, they wanted to present some general picture of all participants, which are now in the hall. And I propose after completion of the panel to make a picture with all participants here in the International Maritime Forum, Global Compass. Thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Georgi Dimitrov. I'm an associate professor in Department of Navigation in Nikola Viptsarov Naval Academy. It's honor for me to be a moderator of this third panel, which is concerning ports and terminals. So I would like to point out three facts. The first one is the crucial role of maritime ports and terminals for the global trade. You're all aware that the ports handle over 80% of world merchandise, directly impacting economies worldwide. The second fact is that there are urgent industry challenges. These are concerning sustainability, decarbonization, climate change, and all these require innovation solutions. And the third one is the rapid technological advancements. This is concerning automation, smart ports, digitization that will reshape the future of maritime logistics. Our first speaker is Mr. Scott May from Gallagher Marine Systems. He's Senior Vice President of Gallagher Marine Systems. And after graduating from Massachusetts Maritime Academy in 1993, he has been involved in regulatory compliance and pollution response sector of the maritime industry for many years. Mr. Scott May has over 30 years of experience in all facets of Oil Pollution Act of 1990, from contingency plan writing to oil and hazardous material spill response management. He has joined ECM Maritime Services in 1995, and after merging with Gallagher Marine Systems in 2023, Mr. Scott May now serves as a Senior Vice President responsible for regulatory compliance, overseeing nearly 2,000 vessels. The topic of his presentation concerns United States regulatory framework, how to avoid pitfalls during incidents in United States waters. United States Coast Guard leads preliminary investigations of marine incidents, while the National Transportation Safety Board conducts independent investigations of major casualties to determine probable causes. So avoiding pitfalls during maritime incidents involves strict adherence to reporting requirements, navigating regulations, and safety protocols. So please welcome Mr. Scott May, United States of America.
Thank you for that introduction. I think you covered basically everything, so I think I'm done. First of all, my thanks to the committee for inviting Gallagher Marine Systems to participate in this forum. This is my first trip to Bulgaria, and I have to say I'm impressed with your openness, the pride with which you have in your long maritime history and your commitment to continuing that. I can assure you that in the United States, we share the same concerns about where the future cadets coming from and what our industry is going to look like as we move into the future. A lot of the presentations this morning were AI driven and what's the future. And I can assure you that the line of business that we are in is not AI driven, and it's basically somewhat rudimentary compared to other things. But I think nonetheless, if you trade vessels to the US, there'll be some value in what I'm going to present to you this morning. So starting off, Gallagher Marine Systems, who are we? What do we do? We are essentially a one-stop shop for compliance-related issues in the U.S. You trade vessels to the United States, you have to comply with a variety of different regulations that typically this presentation would take at least an hour. So I'm going to glean through a lot of the different challenges related to compliance, and then also talk about if you have an actual incident in the U.S. So as the slide indicates, there's a majority of things that you have to go through and comply with if you're trading to the U.S. You have to have a contract in place with a company like Gallagher Marine Systems that is not only going to supply you with the plans, the certificates of financial responsibility, and all the regulatory things that you have to go through, but also, more importantly, is we act as your qualified individual and your incident management team should you have a casualty in U.S. waters. The concept of the plans and the infrastructure that we have was born from the incident in 1989 when the Exxon Valdez ran aground in Alaska. Our federal government realized early on that we didn't really have a robust framework to ensure a proper response in the event of a casualty such as an oil spill from the Exxon Valdez. Those federal regulations, when passed in 1990, the Oil Pollution Act of 1990, which took effect in 1993, unfortunately only regulated tank vessels carrying oil, petroleum, animal, vegetable. As we do in the United States, the states have the autonomy to create their own set of regulations in addition to the federal requirements. And starting on the West Coast with California, Washington, Oregon, they quickly saw that there was this bigger risk from non-tank vessels as there was from tankers. Certainly the volume of an incident involving a non-tanker is less in terms of potential for oil release, but by the same token, there was more frequency of oil spills and incidents and casualties from non-tank vessels. So the state started first with implementing their regulations, and then the Coast Guard followed suit with also regulating non-tankers as we moved forward into the regulations. Our team, Thomas Weicker is our president. This slide is the rest of our senior leadership team. As I said, one of our core businesses is casualty response, getting on board your vessels as quickly as possible when they have an incident. We have approximately 70 full-time employees. We are spread out across the United States. And again, that allows us that when you have an incident, we can get there quickly. And as I'll talk about later, when we get into an actual response, speed is paramount. A quick and aggressive response is the key to success when you have an incident in the US. So this slide indicates just how well spread out we are in terms of coverage in the US. One of the things that makes us unique, we have 2 people always on watch 24/7, answering the phone, ready to assist one of your masters should they have an incident in the US. That qualified individual that answers the phone takes the basic information, initiates the response, makes the proper notifications, calls out resources, and then it's transitioned over to one of our response managers. We have specific, dedicated, full-time response managers geographically throughout the US that are experts not only in spill response and incident response, but they're familiar with that particular geographic location to which they serve. They know the state regulators, they know the Port Authority people, they know the Coast Guard, they know who to get in touch with and how to navigate through an incident in the US. So that's a critical way that we have set up our company to, again, ensure an expeditious response to a casualty. We also have offices throughout the world as well, mostly in a marketing capacity. So what do you need to do to comply, the requirements? Again, I talked about the Oil Pollution Act of 1990. These are the main components of the Oil Pollution Act of 1990. And again, if you think back to the grounding of the Exxon Valdez, we were very fortunate in the sense that Exxon was the responsible party and they had very deep pockets and they had an ability to clean up the spill. But nonetheless, it was still very much disorganized, and the federal government had concerns about, well, what if it wasn't Exxon? What if it was an operator from Singapore, from Japan, from Hong Kong? How do we ensure that we can get to the proper people that have the authority to respond and know what they're doing? So hence the framework of the Oil Pollution Act of 1990 is first and foremost the concept of a qualified individual. It's somebody that's domiciled in the US, that represents the ship owner, and more importantly, has the authority to spend money irrespective of whether it's been agreed upon by the ship owner. So if one of your vessels has a casualty, we don't need your permission to act and to implement and activate your vessel response plan. We're going to do that, and we're going to spend whatever money is required to make sure that we mitigate the situation. That's the expectation. So again, it's to a certain degree making one point of contact for the states and the Coast Guard and taking the ship owner effectively out of that initial response. You also need a contract with an oil spill removal organization. Again, you've had oil in the water. You have a contract with somebody that we're going to call immediately that's going to rectify that situation. You also have a contract in place with a salvage and marine firefighting company. Same concept. It's one phone call. You have a contract with them. There's no negotiations. There's no, maybe we'll use company A or company B. We use the company that you have listed in your response plan, and we activate them immediately. The other components are obviously drills and training. We do a tremendous amount of drills and training. The plan, having a plan in place, obviously you've got to drill it. You've got to understand what the responsibilities are, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit as it relates specifically to a casualty response. And it has very specific notification procedures and timelines. There are a bunch of different regulations in the US. I'm just hitting on sort of the federal ones. I think you all know if you trade to the U.S., there's ballast water issues, there's fuel issues, there's all types of other regulatory things we have to go through, but time really doesn't allow us to get into that. So what do we see when we have an incident? We now, as a combined company, we represent over 10,000 vessels, and that's 1,100 plan holders. And we have between 7 and 10 activations per week. Just since I've been here for 2 days, we've had 4. And what is an activation? It could be anything from a hydraulic hose burst on a crane or a stern ramp, a stern tube leak, a collision, a grounding, all the way up to, although it wasn't our incident, a casualty like the dolly that hit the bridge in Baltimore. So those are the types of things. Obviously, the dolly is an extreme example, but day in and day out, we see issues with leaking containers, overflows of bunker tanks, just general operational things that require a response, require plan activation, and require actions to be taken to ensure that it's done correctly. So what do we see? Time and time again, believe it or not, even though these regulations have been in place for a long time, we still see vessels that are unaware of their requirement to contact their qualified individual in the event of an issue, right? So we need to make sure that you are training with your crew members and ensuring that when they are in the United States, they understand they have a vessel response plan, they understand the framework of how responses are done in the US, because it is quite different from other places around the world. So we need to make sure that we're getting that first call immediately from the vessel. I can't stress the importance of that enough. And it's quite clear what requires a VRP activation. The master or person in charge of the vessel is required to activate the vessel response plan when he or she determines that the resources and personnel available on board the vessel cannot meet the needs, and this is highlighted because it's important, an actual discharge or a substantial threat of a discharge. That word substantial is somewhat hard to define. But I can assure you that in the Coast Guard's mind and in the state's mind, a substantial threat would be a grounding in the Mississippi at night. Is there a threat that you may have an oil spill? Is there a threat that you may have damage to the rudder or to the propeller that would compromise a vessel? Yes, that is absolutely considered a substantial threat. If you have oil on deck, is there a threat that that oil can get in the water? Sure, right? If you have oil someplace on board your ship that it doesn't belong and you're in the United States, that's a substantial threat of a discharge. So again, I harp on it because the Coast Guard harps on it, and they want to make sure that that understanding and that expectation is there. We have seen time and time again, the two most common are probably groundings, vessels coming up the Mississippi River, you have a pilot on board, the vessel suffers a soft grounding, and the pilot makes a notification to the Coast Guard by VHF. If the master then doesn't activate his vessel response plan and contact his qualified individual, what invariably happens is we receive a call from the Coast Guard saying, did you know that the vessel ABC ran aground in the Mississippi River? And we say, I'm sorry, no, we did not. That puts all of us in a very bad situation, right? The other scenario is, again, your crew members lowering the lifeboat drill, and a hydraulic hose bursts. Oil sprays on the hull, goes into the water, but it's not reported. Master says, oh, that's not a big deal. Somebody from the terminal sees it. The Coast Guard's coming on board to do a PSC inspection, and they see it, and they report it, and you don't. So suffice it to say, it's important. You want to make sure it's your reputation. It's our reputation. We want to make sure that you understand that requirement to activate your vessel response plan, not only for a discharge, but for a substantial threat. Other things that require notification, a fire, a collision. It's not just when you have oil in the water. It's for any anomaly that has occurred on board your vessel. Those are all reportable incidents and things that we need to be notified of. We need to activate your vessel response plan and make sure that we're making the proper notification. The other issue we see is when we do get a notification from a vessel, the tendency is always to underreport what has happened. We talk about it all the time. When we get a call from a captain, for whatever reason, they always report the volume as 1 liter. It's a universal truth. I've had a spill. Captain, how much would you estimate the spill is? 1 liter. Okay, I've seen this movie before. And the problem with that is when we report it as 1 liter and somebody from the Coast Guard comes on board or from the state of Texas or California and there's oil all over the deck and there's Wilden pumps set up and it's an absolute mess, now we have a big problem. And we've seen that time and time again. Now the Coast Guard issues a captain of the port order. Now they keep you in port. Now they start to look at other things because they deem you as untrustworthy. And we've seen that repeatedly. Your vessel then departs New York, goes to Houston. Coast Guard comes on board again because they don't trust you and they talk to one another. So again, the importance is not only do you report it, but you report it accurately. We are not issuing fines and penalties. We are not the judge and jury. We are there to help your masters rectify a situation. And under stress, we see masters tend to underreport or not give the whole story. Okay. Another thing to take back and to impart on your vessels is be truthful. We can't help you if you don't give us the proper information. So again, the most important takeaway from this presentation is to ensure that your masters understand when they're in the US, they call us immediately. If you receive a call from one of your vessels that's had a casualty in the US, your first question to them should be, have you notified the qualified individual? If they say no, your instruction should be, we're going to hang up. You need to make that phone call. We will have time to discuss the incident after the fact. Okay. We see two things. The captain panics, either contacts a local agent or contacts a DPA in the first instance. You all, in your capacities as DPA, should understand what to do. The agents, on the other hand, are a big problem for us because most of them don't understand the requirements. And secondly, most of them are charterers agents. They don't necessarily have the owner's best interest in mind. They want to get the vessel in, they want to get the vessel out, and they take actions that are outside of the confines of the vessel response plan and what needs to be done. You need to understand that if you have a casualty, if you have, again, in that situation we talked about with a grounding, you're going to have to do soundings. We're going to have to notify your SMFF provider. They're going to do what's called a remote assessment and consultation with the vessel. They're going to phone the master and have an exchange of information to try to get a picture of what the stability situation is on board your vessel. Your class society plays a big role in anything of a technical nature. If you've had a fire, if you've had a mechanical failure, we have seen recently a big trend in main engine failures. Vessels are coming into port, they lose maneuverability, they lose the main engine. Is that a reportable incident? Yes. Is that a VRP activation? Yes. What typically happens then, the vessel is instructed to go to anchor. You have to get certification from your class society that the system's been tested, it's been fixed, whatever spare parts are required. So we always point out you need to engage with your class society because they play a big role in technical issues in the US. Once we have talked with your master, once we have made all the required notifications, we're going to call you. And we're going to talk with you about what we're doing. We're going to quickly send you an email summarizing the activities, summarizing the times, summarizing the notifications we've made. And we want to ensure that we've got open line of communication with you. We're talking with you about what's happening on board the ship. We're going to get somebody to your vessel as quickly as possible. We would encourage you to think in terms of bringing somebody to the vessel, sending one of your superintendents to the US. We have seen in many cases, you've got a captain under stress. You've got Coast Guard coming on board to do an investigation. You've got a state agency coming on board to do an investigation. Hull and machinery underwriters, surveyors, P&I clubs. Your captain and your crew need support. And we will be talking to you about making sure that you're supporting them. And many times we've seen success or failure in a casualty in the U.S. depends on the level of support that the crew's given. Other things, again, we encourage you. Yesterday, we heard from Britannia. We will always engage with your P&I club. The P&I club plays an important role in what we do. Not only are they going to pay the bill at the end of the day, but they're going to be a resource for the crew when it comes to investigations. The Coast Guard in the United States has become very good at interrogating crew members. They will do it as quickly as possible. They will come on board the ship and they will want to start conducting interviews. The takeaway for you is that your crew members, while in the U.S., are protected by our Constitution. They are protected by our Fifth Amendment. They have the right to seek counsel from an attorney before they answer any questions. What we see is the Coast Guard comes on board and they immediately begin to ask questions. And the Coast Guard will come on board at different times for different purposes. My advice always is to tell your captains when the Coast Guard comes on board post-casualty, or at any time, to be honest, you have the right to ask them, who are you? Why are you here? What's your purpose for this visit? Some of them will be looking at the pollution. Some of them will be looking at a criminal investigation, depending on the situation. So you want to make sure you understand their purpose and what their goal is for being on board. And at the same time, you can instruct your crew members, you do not have to answer any questions until your attorney arrives. And we see most crew members are not confident enough to exercise that right. So you should be counseling them, and we will be counseling them to make sure they exercise their right to have somebody there when they're being asked questions. One of the other pitfalls we see, obviously, is media management. Social media, obviously, crew members posting information, you not addressing it from your side, making sure that if you have a casualty in the U.S., if you have a situation, it's going to be in the news. Obviously, the Dolly is an extreme scenario, but every time we have a major casualty in the U.S. like the Dolly, it shines a light on our industry, and people then become curious about other casualties that happen. So you may have a vessel that grounds in the Mississippi River, and a news helicopter is flying over. And with the technology that we have today, and you don't even need AI, you can quickly find out, based on the name of the vessel, who the owner is, who the P&I club is, where they're domiciled. So we stress in casualties absolute transparency. The Coast Guard is committed to transparency. You should be committed to transparency as well. We need to highlight the fact that, yes, something has happened, but by the same time, we've taken all the steps that are necessary by law. We are a responsible ship owner. We will be here until the problem is corrected. And all of that is done through a robust response from a media standpoint. You want to be proactive with social media. You want to be talking to the crew members about not posting anything. I hear from a lot of our clients when I'm in your offices and they say, well, we'll just turn off the Wi-Fi. Well, most times you're within close enough proximity to land that you don't need Wi-Fi to get a signal. So again, imparting to the crew the importance of protecting the reputation of the company and the reputation of the vessel as well. So again, what we talked about when we don't do things properly, the Coast Guard has the authority to take over a response. They will, if you're not taking an action, they'll take an action. And that will include increased costs, fines and penalties. You will be essentially blacklisted and become under close scrutiny by the Coast Guard. All of your other vessels, again, they talk to one another. So again, you want to make sure that you're protecting your reputation, and you're doing that by being transparent. We're helping you with that by being robust with our response. We will over respond with equipment, with personnel in the first instance, and then we will look to roll some of those resources back after we've established the fact that we're serious about responding to this incident. We, as Gallagher, if you're a client of ours, we have a lot of tools at your disposal. We have regulatory information. We have training that's available. We have an arrivals checklist. We have all types of things that can assist you and your crew members and your captains when they have an issue. Please stress to them, they can call us at any time when they're in the US. We've gotten involved in medical evacuations, man overboard, drugs that have been found on board. Any situation where a captain feels he needs support, he should call us. Because if we can't help him, we know who can. And we will assist him in getting the resources that he needs. And we feel that we are a good lifeline for your crew members. At the bottom there at the slide, that's our emergency contact number. That's really all your vessels need to know. We have that placard. We provide that placard. Make sure that your crew members understand when they're in the U.S. To give us a call. We are not from the government, so we are actually there to help. Quickly on your side, when you, again, we talked about it, what your role is to make sure that you understand what's going to happen with your team. So if you have a major casualty, you're obviously mobilizing to your office. You have responsibilities to the charterers, to your owners to take certain actions. And we want to make sure that you understand when you've got your team together in your capacity as a DPA, that you're looking for where some of the pitfalls are. We do a tremendous amount of in-office exercises with our clients where we will put your team through an actual event. And what we see time and time again is that one person, typically the DPA, will take everything. There's no delegation. Things tend to bottleneck. And the response isn't efficient. So those are the things that you need to look out for when you're mobilizing your team to respond. Make sure that you're supporting not only your crew, but also your office staff at a high altitude. You're looking over the things, you're looking for pitfalls, you're looking for stress, fatigue, things that may be missed. And so that's your responsibility and your role. We have that saying in the US, there's no I in team. So you're stronger together. You're stronger when you act as a team and you support one another and make sure that you're doing your part to ensure an accurate and credible response. I hope this helps. I know I went through it very quickly. I hope, again, the takeaway is that we are your partner in this. And if you don't have a contract with us, you have a contract with a competitor of ours. Rely on them as well. It's critical in the US. It's a completely different framework than anywhere else in the world. So be aware of that and take advantage of the support that we're going to give you if you have an incident. And with that, I thank you. If you have any questions, I can entertain them. I'll be here as well throughout the course of today's event. So I'm happy to chat with you if you have anything.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. May. Trust your partners is the key takeaway.
Yes.
I can imagine how huge is the work to manage all these vessel response plans.
It is. And I think what's important to understand is that the Coast Guard's got a role. When we have a casualty, the Coast Guard in the U.S. is the face of that incident. So they have a tremendous amount of pressure on them. So they tend to send that pressure out. So again, it's important to be transparent. It's important to have that relationship and work through the expectations that the response community in the U.S. has for your ships. So, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Any questions? Questions from the audience?
Thanks for your excellent presentation, and it was very informative. Do you think that this system, which is a little bit complicated, could be simplified. I know that all the ships need a person ashore to assist them in local framework, legal framework, and in local, operation. But do you think that all that system could be simplified just in contracts and telephone numbers than to make completely different plans than normal plans on board the ships?
At the end of the day, I agree with you, and I understand what's behind your question, and that is that the response plan is a book on the shelf. It's completely useless in an emergency. The only thing you need to have is that placard that has the phone number, and that's it. So yes, I think it is there. It's how it works in practice. The plan and the documentation is just that. It's the first step. But I think the system, while more complex than what you have maybe here in Bulgaria, it still works because all the partners understand that it's phone call driven, it's response driven, and we're all dedicated to making sure that a response is efficient and quick, and it meets the P&I Club's, criteria, fair and reasonable, and that's what we strive for. If your question is it more expensive to clean up oil in the U.S.? It absolutely is. But we have seen a trend with the P&I clubs to become more involved, and we welcome that. So if your question is, go ahead.
No, Scott, you make an excellent case anyway. What I wanted to say actually was thank you for coming here to give us all that information. For me, I don't work at a ship owner, and at the moment I regret it. It sounds interesting. We're local correspondents, and in our areas, like where we do have the offices in Bulgaria, Romania, Turkey, Egypt, what struck me is you said you need an immediate and aggressive response. Now, you try that in our area, you are in deep ...
Yes.
Because here, and we've got some representative of authorities, aggression is not the key to success. And why I make that comment, because it was spurred a little bit by the question by Mr. Dimitrov. It was very interesting how the different systems have different perspectives. So it doesn't matter whether the system is simple or it is more complicated. For as long as you know the combination to that system, and apparently you do in the US, it works.
Yes.
And everybody knows his area. And if there was somebody to make an excellent case about how it works in the US, Scott, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. And it is complicated, and I will say that because what we deal with are additional layers. We have a federal government, the Coast Guard. We have a state. We have indigenous peoples. We have other people that are continuously holding us accountable to get things cleaned, get them cleaned efficiently and properly, and everybody goes back to the Exxon Valdez or they go back to the Deepwater Horizon, and they know what the expectation is. And our business is all about expectation management. There is a high level expectation from the Coast Guard with a low level of experience, and that combination can be challenging. But we understand how to navigate it. We understand how to speak. Most of our 75% of my colleagues are ex-Coast Guard, so we use that to our advantage as well.
Thank you. One more question.
Obviously, I'll catch that later, but thank you for the presentation. So as ship owners, sometimes we're not very well aware of the regulations in the US, and some of our vessels would call the US based on the charter's information. Do you guys get involved as a proactive approach on behalf of ship owners to make sure that the vessel is in compliance with the US regulations, with the US, Coast Guard and the other authorities involved in the US, or this is just mainly post-fact kind of an involvement?
No, we are in the process from the very beginning, right? We engage with our clients when they're coming. We make sure they've got their plans, their certificates. The response is obviously, the other part of what we do. The front end is regulatory compliance, making sure they have everything in place to call the US, for sure.
Okay, 2 more questions, please.
Hello and good day. First and foremost, thank you for the presentation. I just wanted to add a comment. As an active shipmaster, I would disagree that the response plan is only a book on the shelf because, for example, I personally use it every time to refresh my knowledge what is needed when I come to the US. How? Because in the US you have a certain requirements, for example, for drills, what type of drills additionally to the ones that are recommended by and required by IMO. So for me, I use the plan to read it for a guideline when I come to the US. So I would just as a comment disagree that it's just another book on the shelf for us.
That's a comment that's well taken. I guess in my mind, we summarize a lot of those things. We have an arrivals checklist, so it's more comprehensive for use by the master for the actual action items that you need to take when you call the US. So the vessel response plan, the majority of it is just text to meet a regulation, but we have other tools that we would give you to talk about submission of your ENOA, the drill requirements and so forth. So I see a different source of that, but I understand, and your point is very well taken, and I appreciate that. I mean, I write the plan, so I guess I shouldn't discount them that quickly, but thank you for that.
Thank you. And last question.
Thanks, Scott. Brilliant presentation. Just a quick one from my end. Because the vessel is moving into the States, the ships are at the front end of everything. What efforts is Gallagher making to send people on board when your memberships come into territorial waters or to the ports? Are you going on board to educate the masters and the crew about the failings and what compliance? How do they need to go about things?
Yeah, for sure. One of our biggest, we have a technical services department that we board. I think last year we boarded over 850 vessels of our clients' vessels, primarily to do pre-Coast Guard inspections, to go on board before the Coast Guard comes on board, going through what the Coast Guard is going to look at, making sure the ship is ready, that there's no detentions, there's no, things that we can fix ahead of time. And with that is the training of going through the documentation, looking at the certificates and all of that. So it's something that we do by request. We don't do it proactively, just because with the amount of vessels that we cover, that would be virtually impossible. But it is one of our core businesses is actually doing that. And clients of ours have found it to be hugely beneficial, especially if you've got a vessel that's never called before, a junior captain. If you have concerns, it's better to send us on board first than to find out after the fact.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So if you have any questions, by all means, I appreciate your time and your very pointed questions. Thank you.
Once again, congratulations and applause for Mr. Scott May. Thank you. Thank you. Our next speaker is Mr. Marcello Pica. He is the Vice President of Monaco Chamber of Shipping. He is President and Chief Executive Officer of Marine Partners Monaco and Human Resources Director of Grimaldi Group. So his presentation is concerning the strategies about the crew welfare, the mental resilience and human-centric maritime management. We're all aware that different integrated strategies for crew welfare and mental resilience would focus on encouraging how a human-centric maritime management approach will prioritize seafarers' physical health, mental well-being, and supportive work environment. So by combining enhanced living conditions, mental health support, and even leadership, these strategies would aim to create safer, more resilient crews who would thrive both personally and professionally.
Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. I will not expect a better introduction.
So,
yes, please.
Right. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And loud my shoulders. Thank you very much. You put a lot of pressure on this short presentation. But I had to admit that I have quite a fortunate horizon and point of view on what is concerning talent resource, talent management, and especially how to handle the capital that a human being means for a shipping company, especially for wider and very large shipping companies. So what I would like to focus on is to make it easier what a recipe it could be, what is a best practice that over decades has indicated the right path how to handle crew and crew situations, because we definitely have seen that this is the key resolution of many problems and the way how to look forwards in the future. For the time being, we focus on the group I also represent as a director. I'll just let the video rolling on. I will try to speak on top. So, what the group represents here is certainly the possibility of looking at a leader company that over the last 2 decades has deployed more than 120 new buildings, vessels, which means you can understand what is the effort in terms of either finances, structure, but most of all, how to grow the roster of people that have been needed to handle this development of a fleet. So, by the way, I would like first to address the regards from the Grimaldi families. Manuel Grimaldi, which is talking in the video now, is actually the chairman of the International Chamber of Shipping that we have seen Simon yesterday as generally secretary presenting their activities in the highest level of IMO. And Mr. Grimaldi is the chairman of the chamber, while I also represent the Monegas Chamber worldwide. So, what I was saying, I've been extremely lucky to look at the crewing and HR perspective worldwide, and thanks to whatever it means, I've been sitting on most of the national CBA, National Collective Agreements signature, and as well as on the BIMCO. You have seen this year we have deployed both the shipman and the crewman contracts that have been renewed. And this was made by a commission of 12 people and all over the world. And by chance, I was sitting on this table of among these 12. So, but the reason I'm trying to pass the message is that there is no an exact recipe on how to develop a more enormous amount of people. The only thing is a combination between the tradition and innovation. It's simple as that. You have to find your roots, the company values, the ethics, whatever is the most important things for the company, and translate into the modern world. Because there is no other perspective than giving the right value to human resources. When I started to look at the group, at the Grimaldi group, from the HR perspective, the first thing I discussed with them, with the Grimaldis, was if they had ever evaluated what the human capital of their roster was worth. And the first question is, what are you talking about? What does it mean? Basically, I just asked, what is the worth, what is the capital value of the amount of people that are working in a group, in a company, if you have to fire all the people and bring them back from the market, and the cost of this impact will be most likely what is the worth of their professionality, of the experience, of the capacity, and the competencies of all these people sum all together. So we started from an element which is never in the balance sheet of a company. So you have your asset, you have your balance sheet, you know how much your vessel are worth on the market, you know how much your asset of the company are worth within the complexity of the company balance sheet, but you never put, because you cannot put how much is worth the manpower that you have, the resources that you have available for you working with you. So we calculate roughly that the worth to take out, in our case, 16,000 employees altogether. So it means seafarers and ashore, and buy back from the markets. And the worth, believe me, was the same as the worth of the entire fleet in terms of asset. And this fleet, this family owns like 140 vessels directly without no funds, so just privately owned. So you can understand how much is important for us now to look at the HR on what perspective. And the second step and move forward while in charge of the entire manpower was to measure the competence that everyone has. Because by some, in an analytic way, every one of the individual, what is his level of competencies and what is his level of soft skill in order to perform the competence that he has. If you multiply by 1,000, then you have the complexity of the competence of the entire group. So this is and this is what it's about. So if we start to by analyzing, thank you very much. We have started from calculating, basically tracing every single individual across the group and analyzing his ability, his competence, and his human side. And we have summed the whole and every individual across the fleet. And the result, I can tell you, is quite impressive. And this is all what is about the competence management system, which is one of the most advanced technology to measure and to project the company into the future in terms of competencies. Just to give you a rough idea, this competence management system is applied before us, which we have from almost 10 years, almost a bit less than 10 years. Before us, there was only Apple, there was only Porsche, there was only Princess. So we were like less than 10 worldwide applying to a proper competence management system. And since then, we have certainly moved some step forward. So basically, what we look at is not really only what we have in terms of asset and the steel that we have put, the tonnage that we have put at sea. It's not only going through magical algorithms, but having put at the center the importance of the real essence of the what is needed to move goods around the world. That on top of the ship, you need to have people. So we have, let's say, strengthened our operation, putting at the center the human capital. So we have somehow achieved resilience and tend to be an excellence in the industry. So as you have seen throughout the video, the group has a global coverage nowadays. This is just one port, and if you see there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, sometimes it's 7 or 8, 9 vessels of the group in one port. This gives you the dimension of the coverage that we are truly achieving nowadays as a global operator. But still, whenever you look at the operations, and if you make a quick analysis of the present moment in the industry, where everyone is talking, we have seen yesterday and today is either about decarbonisation and digitalization, and the more advanced ships, and we are certainly on top notch on that, and the more complex operations and all this evolvement on geopolitical shift that make needs of a daily review, a daily upload of the operational needs. In any of those circumstances, whatever you're doing, if something happens in the middle of the night, is still one man on board, possibly on the bridge, that has to take a decision and move forward the goods that we have to carry all over the world. So this gives you the importance and how, on top of economy, we need to focus on really the human resource aspects. So in order to do this, nowadays, we handle 12,000 seafarers deployments per year. Can I understand this like in industry, even in terms of crewing operations. But still, we need to focus on how to bring this forward. So how to make this possible for the next round of crewing generation. And this is one of my biggest efforts, tend to look always at least 5 to 10 years ahead in order to anticipate as much as we can. I've been talking and being invited in conferences all over the world for the last 15 years at least. And it's at least 15 years that I heard in every section, in every compound, in every possible reunion, we have a shortage of 50,000 crew, we have a shortage of 70,000 crew, we have a shortage of 80,000 crew. Yeah, but we're talking about the same thing since decades now. But what we're doing really to reduce this gap. And certainly you need to focus on what is the real situation nowadays. So we have a huge problem. I'm luckily started my career with one of the first, honestly, no, I've been strengthening the straps of the telex, the yellow film. So I've seen something of the past before the computer came into the picture, but I've started with the digitalization from the day one. But now our talents are those that are part of the Generation Z or Generation Alpha. And those are the professionals of tomorrow. We were talking this morning about how the AI and the new technologies will impact the operations in the near future. But we need to focus on that the operator of tomorrow, but tomorrow means really tomorrow, not in 5 years, tomorrow, are those that have now 25 years, they are 25 years old, they've learned throughout only internet, only tutorial on YouTube that today doesn't work for a very strange case. And they've been passed through 2-3 years of lock of their life through the pandemic time. So they have a mentality which is completely different. They have been formed looking at the life, looking at the world, looking at the dynamics that are among themselves in a different way compared to us. So for sure, this gap of 50, 70, 80, nobody's really able to calculate, but it's certainly huge, the gap of lack of seafarers that we have at sea worldwide, is having one effect. So we need to go back, like in the 80s, we had an acceleration of careers. I remember when I was a young officer, I had seen master before 30, and these were brilliant professionals. And so perhaps in the next very few years, we may see this again, but not like it's happened nowadays that a seafarer is joining one company, jumping from a side to another. You can only achieve this level of professionalism if you know your vessel by every single screw. As the owner says, as Grimaldi says, he knows he has 140 vessels, but if you ask him, where is the screw on the ladder, on the trunk, or on the bridge, he knows every single element of his vessels. And this is the level of knowledge that a seafarer, a professional, should achieve in order to command the vessel, even in a young age. So we are trying to having the most advanced level of digitalization skill for our crew, and always putting the safety and the environment competence at the center. Everybody knows that the kind of ships, raw or con-raw, are the most delicate. Gallagher guys are very top-notch with us. We work like very close, almost family, because the level of risks that we afford every day is tremendous. And certainly having the competence of a partner like that is a plus for us. And then we need to focus on the global competition among seafarers. Everyone is looking desperately. There is a constant run over acquiring the best talents in the world, but certainly the best talents are those that you grow up and you prevent to lose, and the one that on which you invest from the very scratch, and they became and remain loyal to the company. And therefore, communication is so much important, and we trying to be as open as possible with all our seafarers and our roster. Even when they are ashore, we communicate with them through the device, through the mobile. We give updates on what is going on, and we keep them very close to the group. And also, as I said before, the comms management system helps a lot in terms of ensuring that the compliance with regulations is absolutely applied fully, and is certainly a tool that drive HR, high-level HR, but even operational level HR decisions to make it smoother. That's why is it new this morning? We have technically signed a new agreement with the Academy here in Varna. We have done this a bit all over our recruiting center, recruiting area, but we're very happy to have developed further the cooperation with this beautiful structure that we are hosting us today. And as Dimitris was reminding this morning, yes, we do have a quite large part of the fleet which top management is awarded to Bulgarian top officers. We are beautifully happy. To be honest with you, I had to meet that across the group, these vessels allow me to make an award to our guys that are also sitting in the room today. Across the group, those vessels, part of those vessels with top management from this country, are the best performing vessels. And this is fully recognized to them, to the environment we have created, like one excellence of truly merged cooperation between shore office and board office. They're really working as a one. And this is beautiful to see, beautiful to guide, and also it's what gives most of rewards and motivation to do more and more about this. So in a way, yes, I would love even to strengthen and increase the number of vessels I could put on this part of the region as recruitment. On the other side, we also have to work a lot. What about is the ethic? Because being a global player, we sail into any most remote areas of the world where possibly not everyone has the same level of democracy or a level of value in terms of life expectations. So we must have adopt policies that are very tough if you look from outside, but they preserve the workplace. So they preserve the fact that our crew, when they are on board, they are in a safe place and they are not contaminated by the circumstances out of the vessel. That's why there are zero tolerance policies on unsafe practices, harassment, not even talk, or abuse, or not even talk, or illegal practice. Just to let you know, I'm not proud because it happened, but I'm proud to say that it's already 2 years that we had to fire at once 157 seafarers in one shot. I did sign 157 resignation letters personally because working with the highest level of police, Interpol, and customs, we figure out that these people were contaminated by shore criminal organizations. So they were using the fact that they were working with us to conduct illegal traffics. And we had proof about this by being supported by the police authorities. And we just took an action, and in one shot, you can understand what it is for a company to arise such an amount of people and being in need of recruit more on top of what is the normal turnover. So just to give an example, we will not allow any decline on the zero tolerance on ethics, because we want that our workplace are safe for the one that are clean, the one that are loyal, the one that are belonging to the company. And this is where we really achieve a diversity at sea. It's not only gender, it's also legal, not legal. So this is where we look at it. Here you can see the hybrid class of vessel. There are already 12 vessels of those. As you can see, there are 5 megawatt lithium batteries that allow the vessel to completely switch off the engine in ports and survive without any pollution when they are when they are ashore. And of course, this has been a great effort in terms of technology development, but most of all on training for our crew to run these ships. And then you can see that how rigorous we have to be in order to achieve all this. So that's why we're aimed to be recognized as a company where the careers is gathered from day one. So we have like a cadet program on each of the vessel. I would say there are minimum 4 cadets on each of our ship. So you can understand on a fleet of 140 vessels, the number of cadets that we have every year, we acquire every year. It's a policy that we have since 20 years, but this is what allowed us to not to run on recruiting every day, but we grow our guys. Of course, a large amount of those are lost throughout the path, but you can say that I'm happy to invest on guys, on new resources, on young, fresh officers from the very scratch and form then the way and the ethics and the values that we want, rather than go and compete with other managers or shipping managers or other companies and curve their values on ours that have to be to the highest level of ethics in order to be a perfect commander and the most advanced ship in the future. So again, it's so much important that we refocus our projections in order to put the human capital as long as the asset capital at the same level of importance. Otherwise, we really no future. You can have the most advanced vessels, but if you do not have the most advanced seafarers, those vessels you can put on the desk and look at them. So that's why this is our mantra here, where the seafarers are the headbed of the global trade. So I would like to, as we are committed to develop seafarers to the highest level, and we really are looking for not only the best seafarers, but people that are just willing to be open as such to learn and to offer their competence to join the complexity of the group competence. I think this is one of the recipe, cannot be the best or the only recipe everyone should follow. But I can tell you that after 35 years with this company, I do say that this recipe has driven us to the level that we are, and Grimaldi is proud to say that he is the number one ro-ro operator in the world. Thank you very much. And I try to put it as easy as possible, but the message I want to pass today is there is not a real recipe to handle your crew, as long as you realize how important and essential for the company development is to have the human capital at the center of your decisions. So thank you very much. If you have any question, I will be around or available right now.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Navigare est necesse. Vivere non est necesse. Is it? Is it true?
That's right. That's right.
I'm sorry, I would like to cut the questions because we're running out of time. So the next speaker is Captain Miguel Castro. He is the president of European Maritime Pilots Association. Captain Miguel Castro is an expert with outstanding knowledge in the oil and maritime sectors. He has strong organizational and educational skills with deep safety culture. So currently he is a senior harbor pilot in Sines, Portugal. That is a port that handles over 40% of the country's cargo. He is expert in vessel types, including VLCCs and ultra-large container ships, as well as LNG tankers. Beyond his operational duties, Captain Castro serves as Vice President for Communication at the European Maritime Pilots Association and President of the Portuguese Marine Pilots Association that represents all the interests in national and international forums as a leading stakeholder engagement, having attended technical events and different training initiatives. So his presentation concerns how the pilotage experience and knowledge will contribute towards sustainable port development. So the floor is yours.
Thank you, Giorgio. So, dobro utro. Good morning to you all. First of all, many thanks for the organization to invite Tampa. Also, congratulations for this fantastic event and a very kind word to my Varna pilot colleagues that have been welcoming me so warmly here. after I need to update my LinkedIn page because now actually I'm the president. I've sent the CV, but it's not relative. And I'll try to keep on the 15 minutes. So let's talk a little bit about EMPA that probably most of you never heard about it. But we are a professional non-profit organization. We were created in 1963 by the pilots that at the time it was called European Community. Nowadays, we represent 4,500 members from 18 European Union member countries and 6 neighboring countries, Georgia, Montenegro, Norway, Turkey, Ukraine, and United Kingdom. And as you can imagine, Bulgaria, it's one of our members and very active. So our main role is mainly to facilitate the information between our members to continuously improve the professional and technical proficiency of the maritime pilots in the European Union in the neighboring countries. This is done by different ways, not only by through the training and technical committee where we exchange information, by meeting different members and assist them as per their request, and also to work closely with European Union where most of our rules and regulations come out from. So this is very important job for us. So this is our team. All of us, we are active pilots. We have a colleague, the one on the screen is from the UK. The other one on the left, it's from Finland, Italy. I come from Portugal, France, Belgium, Spain, and Germany. And the 2 ladies, the one in the white shirt is the Secretary General, that is Belgium, and the other lady, it's our Secretary, which is also Belgium. And it's another problem that we find in pilotage, and I think in all the maritime transportation, is that we find difficulty on attracting women to our career. So the added value for pilotage, if you don't know what's the added value for pilotage, it's because we don't have a lot of accidents in the news. Because every time we have an accident, there is a big impact. So we are key players on maritime safety, security, efficiency in the port traffic, and the protection of the maritime ecosystem by avoiding accidents. Now the role of security is going to be increasing. And when we talk about remote pilotage and AI, we need to know who's on board the vessel. Because we have seen situations of the shadow fleet where colleagues come on board and they have been pressurized by security officers on not reporting some kind of deficiencies. And this is something that we are looking on. Also, the deep local knowledge of the port, which can be very important when we are talking about not only the safety, but the development on the port and real-time decision makers and risk mitigation enablers. So the example that was brought here from Dali and the Baltimore Bridge, if we didn't have a pilot on board sufficiently trained, can we imagine the impact of that disaster, that accident? It could be a lot worse if we didn't have the pilot on board. So, and we also are very engaged with the port community and stakeholders here in Bulgaria. It's an excellent example of this situation evolves. So what's the sustainability challenges in ports and at which point are we involved with? So before, let us say 10, 15 years ago, mainly it was economical. We were looking only on finance, find capital to invest on the increase of dredging, the increase of the port infrastructures, increase of cranes, tugboats to handle larger and larger vessels that have been growing a lot, and that the port infrastructure cannot follow this. But nowadays, and in this conference has highlighted this clearly, we have exactly the same challenges that we had before, but we have even more challenging situations, which have to do with environmental pressures, emissions, noise, water pollution, dredging, habitat disruption, which is really happening. In my country, I come from Portugal, and we have nowadays a huge amount of seaweed that we think came from Japan, and we barely can go to some beaches because every tide we get about half a meter of seaweed in the beach. So climate change, it's also bringing other effects on the way the storms are acting, the climate is reacting. Then we have the efficient energy usage, sustainable energy, shore power systems. Also, we have operational inefficiencies that can bring safety and security risks. And of course, the need for smarter ports, digitalization, and of course, with the need for increase of cybersecurity. So what pilots that almost nobody knows what we do. It's very common to go in the European Union and have meetings. You are the guys on the tugboats. Oh, you are the guys on the boat that goes in front of the vessel and tells the vessel how to go. So this is, or you are the ones, that's my favorite, the image of the Titanic. So you are the helmsman of the vessel. So what we have done, we are working on the behavioral change of pilots. We have been addressing, if somebody can nowadays say that we have nothing to do with sustainability, everybody has something to do with sustainability, even in our homes. So we have worked on a survey to try to understand what are our best practices in sustainability, what are we doing at our pilot stations. Then we did the recommendation based on this, on what can we tell our members that don't have this kind of practice, how they can improve from the experience of the other ones. We engage also with stakeholders, with ETA, which is the European Tug Owners Association, how best practices can be employed by both of us to have a more sustainable world and work in a more sustainable way. And also a project that was mentioned yesterday, which is Green Port Alliances. And Green Port Alliances play a very important role, as we are not only changing the behavior of the people that it's the crew members of the pilot boats, the crew members of the tugboats, the pilots itself, but also dedicating or highlighting this need for the new colleagues that will be joining. So we enhance a lot safety by preventing accidents, not only saving lives, but also by avoiding pollution. The increase of communication with other stakeholders, which is a very key point, and supporting digitalization with just-in-time information on vessel movements. We talk a lot about new fuels, new solutions, but just by communicating, anticipating the communication, anticipating the traffic, we can deploy means at an accurate time. There's a lot of times that we see captains being pressed to bring the vessels at full power and then have to wait for 6 or 7 hours because the berth, it's not clear, it's not ready for operation. So this is the kind of things that we can improve a lot, and we are not doing this. So when we are looking ahead, we see also challenges in this. It's not just, exhaust pipes sending flowers to the world. These questions of say the environmental can also bring some concerns. One of them, it's shaft poly or shaft power limitation, which reduces a lot the power of the vessels, or the reduced size of the propellers. Vessels that were originally built to have 60,000 horsepower, and now suddenly they have 20,000 horsepower because they have reduced the power. And this brings implication, and then can have an impact on sustainability by potentially create accidents. Also, when we look about battery-operated solutions, either for pilot boats or for tugboats, we need to look also on reliability of this. It's not a completely proven technology. There are a lot of tests, and we are doing this as pilots also, but it's something that in the future needs to be careful advice. So we are completely engaged with sustainability. We are looking on new fuels for pilot boats, new pilot boat designs. Some vessels, probably you heard about the Artemis project, which it was a company that developed vessels for boats for the America's Cup. So they developed, based on this technology, they start develop pilot boats, which are very interesting, fully electric with foils. Also on our pilot stations, we are reducing emissions, self-powered pilot stations, and also land transportation the same. This needs financing. It's something that needs to be addressed. And I think this is something that touches everybody in the port. And also the most important thing, also it's behavioral change, because if we still keep having old habits, we cannot change the future. So, closing thought, we are not just pilots, we are also a big part in the solution, providers of sustainability enablers. So, благодаря, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Captain Castro. Thank you very much. I would like to announce our next speaker, which is Associate Professor Delian Christoph. He's a Doctor of Philosophy in Nicola Vaptsarov Naval Academy. He is a distinguished academic lecturer and a team leader. And since April 2023, he is the head of the Marine Engineering, Machinery and Systems Department. His special subject is machinery diagnostics. He has over a decade of experience in marine engineering and education, including roles as a senior assistant professor and assistant professor at the Academy. His presentation concerns the technical pathways for fleet decarbonization, adaptation of existing ships and future-ready new builds. He will discuss the key technologies that include fuel diversification using biofuels and hydrogen, wind-assisted and hybrid propulsion systems on board, carbon capture and digitalization to enhance operational efficiency. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the comprehensive introduction. Thank you for the attention, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor for me to present this topic today. Actually, it will be a kind of mine insights on the changes which are coming in the port areas in the special regions. We'll have a mention on this all diverse technologies which Associate Professor Dimitrov said. But the idea is to show what is coming into the midterm schedule and what have to be the plan on the technical managing companies on adapting the existing fleet and how they will phase in the new builds which they plan to introduce on the market. So first of all, we have technical challenges on different compliance drivers. In the background, we have the IMO regulations. We have a lot of local specifics, regional specifics coming by mainly United States and European legislation. We have the requirements for decarbonization, which are coming in mid and long-term requirements, and this is changing the picture, let's say, on the entire global fleet. We have implemented requirements on the European ports, for example, to ensure alternative fuels or options to decarbonize the areas around the ports which are, let's say, sophisticated on local emissions. Even the ports are located remotely from the big cities, but they have this impact. About the United States, California requirements for port shore supply, we have already ongoing requirements for this so-called coal tyranning. I will try to explain later on something about this. And we have a mandatory framework which is coming in the near future for Europe in 2030 for a certain group of ships to have these onshore power supply operations during port stay, which is already considered by the ship owners, but as a matter of preparation, and if there is a schedule for these ships to visit the European ports, and adding additionally the requirements which are coming by the IMO regulations for decarbonization, we have specific impacts on these ships which have to mix both the requirements. We have, of course, gaining traction on alternative fuels. The new builds are almost reaching equal numbers of alternative fueled power plants. Of course, they will expand additionally with the years forward. And we have to also mix these new requirements for the port stays in these specific areas with the chosen and operated alternative fuel on board these existing ships. What are the options for zero or near zero emissions at birth? Here these are underlined with the green color back colored options. We have the working solutions, which tend to be the chosen one by the ship owners. We talk about the onshore power supply, or OPS, also called cold ironing. This is operation with connection on the ship on the grid, and in that way no auxiliary power is used from the ship auxiliary engines, but only we use shore power. There is battery assisted hoteling called, with shore charging where it's possible. There was such case shown by the previous presenters here in the Grimaldi fleet. So this can be also an option to reduce the port emissions. The hoteling is considered also similar to the coal tyranning. This is the power consumption during the port stay of the ship, including cargo operations and all the other demand on power for, especially for passenger ships. It's important to feed air conditioning, all the systems which ensure the comfortability of the passengers on board. The other options with fuel cells and auxiliary harbor loads, cleaner auxiliary fuels for port stays and exhaust after treatment are discussed not to face 100% of the zero or near zero emissions at birth, because we have also implemented new rules coming by similar term like fuel EU and the cycle well to wake of the fuel sources and the fuel which is used on board. So on well to wake approach, these fuels cannot face the requirements for zero emissions, and that's why if we use such kind of fuels on board, this may impact the total outcome of the emissions given by the specific ship. About the regulatory landscape and emission standards related to the ship design and operation, we have this regulation on the European Union about alternative fuel infrastructure in specific ports in the, let's say, the most loaded ports, known like 10T core ports. The European Union will be required to ensure electrical power supply for initially these three type of ships, for container ships, ro-ro, and passenger ships. Further in time, maybe 10 years from now, 2035, it will be required for all kind of, exactly not all kind of ships, but all kind of ports in the European area. About this California Air Resource Board, this AdBird rule, it is in force for many years already. They have to expand, or we expect to expand additional enforcement for different types of ships than container ships and passenger ships and ro-ro from this year, as it is in this requirement. And in the background, we have also the annual performance of the ship regarding the carbon intensity, and already the issued energy efficiency, the existing ship index certificate, which are forcing the SHAPOLI, EPL, and the other stuff already to be implemented on board. We have expecting expansion to tankers, bulk carriers, and reefers in the next phase of this requirement, but presently it cannot be stated exactly when it will happen. Just informing sketch on this cold ironing on our onshore power supply system. We rely on power supply from the grid in the shore. We have to use a connection cable powerful enough to face the demand on the power on the ship for the port operations. We, of course, expect some specific challenges here related not only with the power value, but also with the quality of the electrical energy. Because here we have a lot of sophisticated equipment on board, which is relying on, let's say, high quality electrical power. But in general, this is the link. In many cases, they can use traditional components. I mean, step-down transformers for lowering the voltage on the grid, and so on. About the ship type and the profile, which is expected to have influence on the implementation of the requirements and or what we have already implemented. If we start with the ship type containers, this will be required from 2030 to have options in European waters to connect on the grid. In the United States, it's already required since 2014. About the complexity of the system, usually we have on these big container ships high voltage system, 6.6 or 11 kilovolts. And we have load profile at berth relatively high, referred to the cranes to be used and the reefers to be linked on the grid for keeping the design temperature for the specific cargo in the containers. Here we have another factor which is influencing the decision to put the container ships in this, and this is the predictability of the port stays, because we have usually liner operations. we know that this ship will come on a specific schedule, and we expect precisely what will be also the power demand of it. Which are the risks? It is the something related with the presently implemented emission trading systems and the readiness of the grid. Another question is what is the source of the power for the grid? Do we have mix? Do we have green sources, or we have a kind of brown or similar sources? Of course, we have to consider the price of the electrical power which will be consumed during the port stay. This is also an expense of the ship for this port stay. About the passenger ships, similar to the container ships in Europe, from 2030, they have to be connected on the grid. They have very high loads, and similarly to the container ships, the complexity of the system is similar. For the United States, they are to be connected in a mandatory scheme also, and they have something slightly different than the container ships, that they are connected with this ESG pressure, because usually the passenger terminals are very visible. They are in the downtowns usually, and they reflect on the also on the image on the company which is operating these passenger ships. What about the tankers? The tankers are not yet with set up initial date for connection on the grid in Europe. From this year, they are mandated to be connected in California waters. They have hazardous areas due to the specifics of the cargo on the tankers. They have to be also evaluated what are the risks and how they can be eliminated or restricted to acceptable levels. We have, let's say, moderate load profiles which are linked to the discharge operations, and let's say we have here most probably phased approach in the future. These companies which are operating tankers to consider step-by-step projects to implement retrofits if it is necessary. About the bulk carriers, general cargo and the reefers, they are more or less in the same situation. For them, there is no setup requirement for initial date for connecting to the grid during port stays in Europe or United States. This is due to the relatively low or moderate load profile, so they have not such big loads during port stays. And also, they are not considered as predictable when they will get in port, because they have also Trump kind of voyages, and this cannot be predicted for a ship exactly how many times per the life cycle it will be connected on the grid. About the fleet type and OPS load profiles, we can recap here that for container ships we have high hotel loads, predictable port calls, early OPS enforcement, even nowadays in the United States. About the passenger or cruise ships, we have very high hotel loads, using already OPS in some ports. RoRo, medium hotel loads, OPS requirements in Euroports will be implemented, and for tankers may be included later on. What are the strategic takeaways? In short term, if we don't have available system for feeding the ship during port stay with enough power, this need to be retrofitted, and it's not negotiable. For tankers in California especially, which are calling these ports, they in general need to think about phasing in such technical mean, and for bulk and general cargo in short term, they have to focus on facing the IMO CII efficiency requirement. About the midterm, for all new builds, they should be OPS ready, so to have powerful breakers to keep the port operations. And even if it's not mandated yet, it further will reduce expenses during such retrofits if required. About the fuel choice, alternative fuels, not only methanol, but also ammonia is now on the pipeline. As we can say, we have natural gas, which is leading to general reduced carbon footprint or greenhouse gases. But here, for the port stays context, we have to direct on the options to connect to the grid. About the risk hedge, fuel flexible, OPS ready, and digitalized ships are the safest strategy across all the fleets. Adapting the existing fleets, integration. From technical point of view, this will be required switchboard upgrades, routing of cables, safety systems, which to deal with this system. About the power management will be required to have additional profiling. And upgrades of energy efficiency means are also welcome, because we have also the other requirement for the annual performance of the ships. Digital monitoring is also one of the options to improve the figures on a certain ship. If we consider investing in new builds for future-ready vessels, need to have OPS ready by default. So cables, duct switch gears, transformers to be ready available for all kinds of ships. Fuel flexibility will be in a higher level if we have alternative-ready ships. Hybridization is also one additional advantage. And hull optimization may be also one of the options to improve the figures of the ship. If we consider again the fleet type summary, container and passenger ships, OPS retrofits and fuel strategy immediately. Tankers faced OPS retrofits, so just to investigate what will be the output of the first projects, and then to spread it around the entire fleet of a company. Fuel flexibility is one advantage also. For bulk carriers, efficiency and CI measures, eventually OPS readiness. And for new builds, as a standard, OPS, fuel flexibility, and efficiency improvement. About the strategic roadmap, existing fleet, assess port calls if you are intending to trade in Europe, United States. Consider that this is a must, and you have to have ready ship for it. If you are going to let's say expect changes in this environment, I mean the legislational one, this will most probably not happen. New build fleet, about the OPS ready, fuel flexible, integrated efficiency, and stage delivery, which to improve the overall performance on the fleet. And of course, ongoing monitoring compliance. Crew training, as it was mentioned, is vital. Digital and energy management. And the other is to try to hedge the risk with design flexibility, fuel options, modular OPS integration where it's possible, and in that way to simplify the projects and to reduce the costs. As final call here on my presentation, that the future proofing of your fleet today will ensure operational, regulatory, and commercial resilience tomorrow or next years. Thank you for the attention, and if you have any question.
Thank you, Mr. Christoph. Thank you very much.
There is a if it's applicable.
Oh, okay. Only one question. So, just a moment.
Good day. First and foremost, thank you for the interesting presentation. I have a few questions to you regarding the cold ironing. In your opinion, do you think the infrastructure of the ports and the network in the countries have enough development to support this project? And second, is there any research done about the comparison between the emission of greenhouse gases and carbon footprint from production of the state electricity from the vessel's auxiliary engines and from the plants that we use on shore, because it's not only green energy, it's also coal plants and so on and so forth. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the question. Presently, about the infrastructure in Europe, I can say, because I have taken a look about, definitely it's not ready. Definitely. Even in the most advanced technological economies, this is not ready. Of course, we have this legislation about the alternative fuel integration coming by the European Union. But we will see how fast it will be implemented, and are we going to face this 2030 requirement? Obviously, something needs to start to happen today or recent days. About the efficiency, I have mentioned something that we depend on the quality of the energy which is coming by the grid, and if we use power plants which are powered by coal, and as we know that the most efficient internal combustion engines are the diesel engines which we use on board, then it will be challenging to answer a nice or a precise question which do not to interfere with the interests of the majority of the stakeholders here. I mean, which are implementing the legislation. But as we have seen already with kind of previous requirements which were going to come maybe 2025, because the economy was not ready, I mean, for the sulfur cap, and they have decided to make it on 2020, obviously this will come. The idea is how it will be fulfilled with the technological background, and what will be the real impact we have to evaluate when we have it ready in the system. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I would like to close this panel, and before inviting you to lunch break, I would like to try to gather all the participants for a picture in front of the main entrance of the planetarium. So thank you very much again. I'm closing this panel. Enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you.